all I can think of is the American Dad from like Rogers, Spawn, Grogu. So, it'll be interesting.
A little homunculus.
Oh, great. Choking on my tea.
Sorry. And his name was Grogu. Hello, everyone. Before we get started, welcome to Popcorn. We'd love for you to like and subscribe and become part of our Pupper Pack, because let me tell you, you don't want to miss what we have planned for the next few months. Good stuff along the way. Okay, so this episode, right off the bat, I'm going to say this was my favorite of the season. Maybe even the series.
For me, it's not quite the series, but definitely this season.
It was excellent. And right at the end, I knew exactly why. It's written and directed by Dave Filoni. Mini tangent right here. The man deserves Star Wars. Mm-hmm. He knows Star Wars because he is the bridge between George Lucas's vision of how the world works, how the lore works, what Star Wars is, how it's a person's vision, not a corporate slop, for lack of a better term. Something that's like very mechanical and unorganic. It's a beautiful story that's a person's vision, and it has to be to work.
He un-Disneyfied it.
Exactly. And on top of that, for the audience, he knows how to do good writing and composition for the audience to understand to the point where they're not making memes and popping jokes.
Right.
So that's basically my nutshell critique of the prequels, being like great ideas, great concepts, excellent lore, weird execution.
Yeah.
To the sequels, to where it's like good writing. The writing's good.
I mean, we can agree to disagree. But this episode, like, I personally really, really like this episode. I love the characters. I like the plot. The aesthetic is beautiful. It's like, well, beautiful might not be the right term. Like, from right off the bat, you can tell that this area is in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, it's foggy and everything is dead. You have, like, these big monstrous creatures, like, roaming around. They're not dangerous, I don't think.
No, they're like brontosaurus.
Yeah.
The equivalent. They're just like in the background, roaming silhouettes.
But it definitely adds to the, like, this used to be a flourishing area with all the trees to, like, look at it now. And you have, you know, at the time, this shadowy figure, like, running and, you know, hiding in the fog and behind trees. And we don't know who it is yet at this time, but the aesthetic is just, it sets the tone right off the bat.
Yeah, and, like, we see Ahsoka Tano right away, which I think was
as soon as you get the lightsabers, you're like, there she is.
Was a great move, because it's nice to have that payoff and not wait till the end, Castlevania, and just get something to keep you invested, to keep going forward.
Yeah.
And I think this episode did it marvelously. Rosario Dawson played Ahsoka Tano, and I haven't seen the cartoon yet, but it is on our like to-do list for like within the next year.
Yeah.
Like, maybe just Clone Wars for now, and then we'll do Rebels later.
Yeah, I feel like as soon as The Mandalorian is over, we're probably going to start on, like, the Clone Wars and, you know, work our way through it.
This is beautiful. I'm loving this.
Her performance was just spectacular because she was fierce. Like, you could tell she was fearless. She was like, if I'm going to die, I'm dying doing this. But seeing her with Grogu, she also had, like, that motherly side of, like, the caring. You could tell she's fierce, but she cares.
Yeah, there's a warmth there.
Yeah, and it's just seeing them interact. It gave her a wonderful dynamic.
And I'm going to contrast this to Bo-Katan, which didn't work for me, because I don't think the tone was right, the emotion.
Right.
But also, even though I didn't see the cartoon character, I was more attached to Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
Because, well, for one, I knew of what went down in Revenge of the Sith, and I was told that, like, she's Anakin's Padawan, so I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
So there was also that from the front. But Bo-Katan just felt like some, like, NPC side quest character from, like, The Witcher, Skyrim, or Mass Effect that's just like, I need this, do this, and I'll give you 20,000 EXP.
Well, with her as well, like, she is very selfish.
Yeah.
So it's, you help me because I have a problem. I want my throne back. We didn't really get too much of, like, I want my throne back to help the Mandalore as a community. I want my throne back so that I can fix us. It was just, this is mine and I want it back.
And it was a lot of telling, no showing.
Yeah, so you got kind of like a weird vibe of like, is she a good guy or a bad guy?
Yeah,
Whereas,
and if you saw the cartoon, you know that. But
right.
because we didn't know that,
it was kind of like questionable.
Is she going to turn on the Mandalorian? What's going to happen here?
So, and it's also like, okay, is that in the direction? Is it in the acting? Or is it in the story? So it's just kind of like, you don't really know what's going on with her. It kind of leaves you almost tasteless of just like,
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Just kind of like.
Whereas in this episode, I really want to know, like, okay, does she stay? Does she help this community? Like, they crowned a new magistrate, which was the guy that kind of tries to help Mando in the beginning of like, don't talk to us, like, you're gonna get in trouble. So like he becomes, I guess, the new magistrate. He has like the robes and the pins and everything. So like, does she stay there? Is she gonna help this community rebuild? What is she gonna do? Like, I kind of am invested in her character now of like, you know, is she gonna be okay? But I really like this character way more than Bo-Katan.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
I loved like just like when she threw down, she could really throw down.
Yeah.
When there was a warmth between her and Grogu, who, by the way, that's the child's official name.
Yeah,
no more Baby Yoda.
It might take a while to get used to that, but
it's Grogu, guys.
All I can think of is the American Dad from like Roger's Spawn, Grogu. So, it'll be interesting.
A little homunculus.
Oh, great. Choking on my tea.
Sorry.
But I'm very curious to see where they're going to go from here, because now Mando has the direction of like, take Grogu to the temple, set him on the very top and let him choose his fate.
Yeah, because when Ahsoka examined him, she sensed fear.
Yeah. And, you know, she even mentioned, there were so many little tiny connections.
Yeah.
From her to like the rest of the Star Wars that we know of, like, even I've seen a Jedi turn to the dark side. I know what happens in this situation is her talking about Anakin. Like, again, we don't know. I just know that because you told me from the cartoon that you know that she was in that position.
Yeah, but even if you've seen Revenge of the Sith, you know what went down.
Exactly. So, and
how many people it affected.
Right. So all of the little hints, and she mentions Yoda. She was like, you know, I've known one other of his kind, Master Yoda. So, and then when she says, like, right after that, I sense fear in him. I sense a lot of anger. And then, of course, you went straight into Yoda.
Yeah, fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to the dark side.
Yeah.
I sense much fear in you.
So it's just kind of like, okay, with Grogu, like, he's going to have to make this huge decision. Yeah. He's still a baby. Like, he's 50, yes, but he is still an infant for his species. So, and the whole time, you know, she's saying that he is so attached to Mando. How is he going to make this decision? She's like, if he chooses the Force, a Jedi will find him. So, like, is he just going to go with a random Jedi, or he's going to want to stay with Mando? So it's like, I'm very curious to see where they're going to take this concept, not knowing the cartoon, because I feel like this season is really heavily based in, like, Clone Wars and different characters that happen and parts of the extended universe that I'm not familiar with. Yeah. So I'm really curious to see how they're gonna spend this. Like, are we gonna have a Sith Grogu? Like,
it could be. We don't know. Cause like I don't know if I'm worried or curious, because everything that they're touching on are things from the original trilogy, the prequels. Right. I've noticed there's not much touching on about what's setting up to what happens in the sequels. Are we washing that aside? Which, again, no complaints here. No. Or
we're just like, who's that? Don't worry about it.
Are we going to actually hint at the building of the First Order? Yeah. Things like Jakku, the planet from The Force Awakens.
Well, I don't think that's happened yet.
Well, I'm just wondering, like, if they are going to go that route to build. I
really hope not.
Or maybe not. Like, some people were speculating, oh God, when they were like going to the lab and stuff, people were wondering, is that where they get the clone of Palpatine? Like, is that Snoke's baby in a bottle? And people are just like, eee. So we don't know, but what I do know is that it heavily touches on things from the original trilogy and the prequels and strengthens them.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but the alternate not alternate universes, but like the extended universe.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we're getting a lot of that as well.
Oh, we could always do like an alternate timeline where none of that shit exists, and I'd be fine with that.
I'd be okay with that. Like, I'm not really a fan of like the new Star Wars movies. They look beautiful, but honestly, the story, you're like, it's well written, and I'm just like, are you sure?
We don't want to get into that.
Are you sure it is?
I have a soapbox video. We have other videos planned. We don't want to get into that.
But so I really hope that they don't take it in the direction of like of the new movies, of the new sequels. I hope that they do either use the child, use Grogu.
That's right.
He was super excited when Mando used his name. It was adorable. But like, are they going to use him as a foil to Yoda?
I know.
So it's like, I feel like that would be way more interesting than going to the route of like these
Would audiences be able to handle it though? Something so adorable as Grogu going to the dark side.
I feel like it would depend on if it was done well.
They wouldn't even let Rey go to the dark side. And like they set
But again,
set her up to bat
if you're
to perfectly
looking,
do
if you're
that
looking
story.
at like the direction and all of that, like these sequels are so heavily Disney-fied of like, strong female lead, like she's independent and the storyline is just pushing everyone forward, but no one develops as a character. Whereas this, we see development happening. We see like the darker side of this universe. We don't always see them dying, but just like they allude to it. Just like the magistrate, like the staff is there, there's no magistrate. Like we can only assume what happened to her. So we don't get to see it, but even they were doing like a film, like the cinematography was back and forth between the fight going on inside and Mando's fight going on outside.
Yeah.
So, and you can hear the staff hit the ground, and on the outside, the other, I don't even know his name, if he has a name. But like the magistrate's like right-hand man, you can hear like, oh, I guess you won. So it's like, we know something happened there. Yeah. But we don't see it. I don't think Disney as a company would even allude to like her dying in that manner. So the fact that it's like, she's nowhere, we have the staff, like...
draw your own conclusions.
You know, even to me, that's a little bit risky for a Disney-fied movie. So I definitely think that if done correctly, I think it could be really interesting to see Grogu go to the dark side. Because they're even setting him up it that way just a little bit. Like, he's using the Force, but for very selfish things.
Yeah.
I want those cookies, use the Force. I want that ball, use the Force. Whereas, like, it started when Mando was in danger, he used the Force.
Yes.
He hasn't helped anyone since.
Right.
It's all been very selfish.
Yes.
Which is a dark side trait of like, I'm not going to help you, but I'm going to help me.
And Anakin turned to the dark side from fear of losing those he loved.
So they're setting him up for this path to the dark side. So I kind of really want to see that development happen.
My heart.
I know, but like, my heart. Like, I would love to see Grogu and his path of like, what is he going to choose?
But overall, this was excellent. We were excited. And this actually brought to my attention like one of my favorite quotes. And I'm just going to paraphrase because I don't quite know it. But it was like, Ahsoka Tano says, I like firsts. Good or bad, they bring memories.
Yeah. I think it's like they're memorable.
It was like his first experience. And like, Mando was kind of like, Din. We're so critical on like, call the child Grogu.
That we keep calling him Mando. Yeah. Like, he has a name. Yeah, he has a name. It's not Mando, but it's way easier to remember because it's my name.
But let us know what you thought. Was this your favorite episode where you kind of like, I was a little disappointed? Just let us know. And we'll see you guys for the next couple episodes of The Mandalorian.
Toodles.
Cheers, my darling. Whereas, here was my problem with Bo-Katan, and it's totally a me thing.